Welcome to the Meditation Podcast. You can find all our episodes on meditationpodcast.org. I also have the Awakening Podcast, Learn Polish Podcast, the Speaking Podcast, and the Crypto Podcast, and all can be found on roycon.com. Please welcome my guests, SRU and Kasia, and they shall introduce themselves. Welcome, ladies.
Hey there.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you for having us. I'm Kasia SRU. I know my surname was...
Exactly, I left it out intentionally because I know I'd be kind of, I wouldn't do it justice.
I wanted to help you. So, I hate that part of introducing myself because I noticed through my whole life, it's always tricky to identify myself with what I do. Because every time I was in a phase in the life like, oh, this is who I am and this is what I do. Universe was like, no, that's not, and so what I do now is I'm an actress, author. I just released a book with, I wouldn't call it poetry, but it's like, I call it for myself like spiritual raps, but it's called Message from the Universe, and I just released my own feelings, and it was just a surprise that it got published because I never planned on that. I love dancing. I love comedy. I'm a co-host of the podcast, Be Your Own Guru podcast with SRU. And and who I am is I would describe myself as a human being trying to discover my best potential and limits in life and just curious, where it's going to take me. So I'm trying not to claim too much to the identity of what I do because it's tricky when we start to identify ourselves with what we do.
Excellent. And SRU, you might let us know let the audience know who are you.
So my name is SRU. I'm 22 and I'm based in Perth, Australia. I think my whole life, just as Cas kind of feels too, I've been having trouble with completely identifying myself to a particular thing or a hobby or something I do. And I've learned over the years that I'm always changing. And for now, I'm someone that is just going with the flow in this beautiful apocalypse that's going on in the world right now. I am a musician as well. I make music. I'm the co-host of the Be Your Own Guru podcast, and
Yeah, beautiful. And I mean, I used to listen to a lot of podcasts, and then when I started doing my own, I kind of stopped. I just listened to one. It was called the Blind Buy podcast, but I've started listening to another, and I've listened to all your episodes, and it's actually very good because you have a very open relationship. You bond very well, but it's like deep, thought-provoking, and I think people have that conversation, but they tend to have it in their own head instead of open. Is that the purpose? What was your whole purpose of getting this podcast there?
Wow, I'm glad you said that because that was exactly our message and our intention with the podcast. We used to have those long phone conversations because we are very connected on the spiritual level with SRU. Like, I don't know, I think we were like soul sisters or something, and we went through similar things, issues, and as you said, even how we introduce ourselves, we just people just searching, and I think we all are, and some people just don't admit to the questioning, and they always trying to be perfect. I know I've been like that too, like always trying to act like I have it all figured out, and it gets you to the point like you kind of lose yourself in it. And we have this on the podcast, we share our true selves. Like, we wanted to have a place where we can be vulnerable and just admit to, like, this is what I'm just questioning, and this is what I don't know, and let's just talk about it. And we started it, and it's just flowing, So I'm glad you noticed our intention, because that was the point.
And how did you meet each other?
So, we never met in person, actually, because I'm in Poland. I used to live in Holland for a very, very long time, in the Netherlands. I moved back to Poland 2 years ago. SRU is from Australia, and we met through someone, and it was like a few years ago, but we didn't connect then because I was in a different place in life, mentally, SRU as well. And only like a few months ago, we had this call, and we were just both in this existential crisis kind of thing. And we just had this deepest conversation ever. I remember, like, I always felt like I always have to be this strong person and put this, because I used to also be like a trainer and a role model for many years, which I stopped. And I felt like I cannot have flaws, and that came from the shame from the past, because I had like pretty like interesting past from like when I was a kid. And then I realized, like, I was too tired in this phone call. I was too tired to act, and I was just like, oh, like, I'm just tired and I'm just don't know. And she was like, and then she opened up like, yeah, me too. And then we just spoke for 3 hours, and then it's just the idea of the podcast came up, and we just started doing it. And we didn't put our first episodes that we recorded because we were still like kind of masking. And when we felt like, wow, this is really us, that was the first episode we put out.
That's fantastic. And like, I do a weekly show with another guy. He's got his own podcast as well, but we've been doing a weekly show. We've done over 50 episodes together, and I've never met him either. But you just know when you connect with somebody. There's just something, and you would never have thought, if you told me that 2 years ago, that something like that could happen with Zoom or Skype, whatever platform you're using. It's amazing how you just know, yeah, this person, I could, I mightn't see him for 10 years, but as soon as you meet him again, you connect back up. Whereas there's people in your life that you think you know them, and you miss them, you mightn't see him for a year, and then you kind of wonder, what did we have in contact? It's totally different.
Yes, it's the energy. Right, Shrew?
Absolutely. It's, to say on a quantum field, almost this connection, it's crazy. And, with people in my life, I don't actually have a connection of like that level of intimacy and vulnerability that I do with Kas. And it's crazy, like how we met actually through a like situation that was pretty like hard for both of us. We met through like I was making music, and I was working with a talent agency, and things weren't very healthy. And so I met Kas through someone that I was working with. And from that moment 3 years ago, I met her as a fitness trainer, a nutritionist, and 3 years later, I know her as a human, as a spiritual being, as a person who is just ruthless in their stamina for life and the amount of rebirths, and it's truly, it shows that we're all different, but we literally are all the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, I'm blushing, but that's really funny. Like, I believe also in timing, for like when you like, obviously we're so connected, but when we met the first time, because we were both like in a different persona that we put on the outside world, like we don't connect on the spiritual level. And like I was really in that I created someone because I was going by the name of Kasia Rain, and I was, I'm proud of what I did, but it was all created with a great intention in the beginning, because I used to struggle with eating disorders, and then I just went like find my balance within yoga and healthy nutrition and stuff like this. So I thought, like, let me help people with it. But then I got dragged into the fitness industry and the business side of it, and I lost myself in it. And I was operating more from like what people expect me to be instead of what I want to be. And I forgot my own message. And when Shrew met me, I felt like I had to be this person for her, and she's look up to me. So I wouldn't even show my vulnerable side of the fact that I do have insecurities or flaws. Like it's so exhausting trying so hard to act like you have it all and you're so happy. Like I'm the best example of something that, like when they say, like, don't believe everything that's on the outside, that everything that looks so perfect on the outside, that's actually like that, because my Instagram and everything looked then like, wow, this person is so strong and she has it all, but it's not always like that, you know. It's funny that the timing was about like we were supposed to really connect now for the podcast, which means so much to me. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So what's your journey into, like, say both of you know, for meditation and yoga? How did you get, maybe SRU, you might tell us how you started.
Sure. So with meditation and yoga, this takes me back to 2019 when I'd essentially, in terms of my mental health and physical health, had just hit an all-time low. And I used to like think of it as a spiritual awakening, but I realize now that it's just an awakening, and you have many of those, you know, throughout your life. And I think meditation for me was almost a drag to get into, because I had doctors telling me it was good, and my parents were encouraging it. And I almost wanted to be like, no, you can't just stick meditation on and fix these problems. But it took for me to actually get quiet within myself and realize that I was kind of running away from these thoughts that I was afraid to face. It took that acceptance to then go on with meditation and incorporate it slowly and slowly. And also to go through like some mindfulness along with it, because I struggled to really get into it straight away. So I would meditate in ways that allowed me to be calm, be in a flow state, such as playing music, dancing even, painting, walking, or just even like staring at the clouds, you know, and just watching my thoughts. And yoga, I believe, like came like a couple months after the meditation started, and I'd actually had a lot of health issues, and fibromyalgia was one of them, chronic pain. And I found that the yoga actually increased my stamina, made me feel like I wasn't, you know, sick all the time. And really, I feel it connected me with my body more, which I'd lacked for so long.
Okay, very nice. And what kind of meditation were you using?
So like around the beginning, I would actually listen to some of those guided meditations to help with focus. And slowly I would go to just playing like music at a certain frequency and just closing my eyes and just really observing from a place of detachment, how my body was reacting, where my thoughts were leading. And it almost gave me a peek into my subconscious mind and what kind of programs were running there on autopilot. Yeah.
Kasia?
Yeah. Oh, wow. For me, yoga was first, and it was, you know, as I mentioned, I had quite like rough childhood, and you know, went like to like, long story short, juvenile prison and stuff like this, and that's where I got my eating disorder, because obviously I wanted to control something, and all I had in juvenile prison was my own body. Everything else was controlled by people out there. So when I got released from there after like 2.5 years, I was totally like lost human being. I was like 17, and I had like whole life already behind me, and I just didn't know what to do. Like there was no people anymore tell me what to do. I have this eating disorder, I have probation, I have to go to school. So I was just like, really, there was no parents to quite like, you know, lead me. And somehow I did it. I just like always like put on mask of this happy person. I was always the clown, and kind of got in a balance with food, but I was still lost. I did the anorexia, switched to bulimia back then. And I had one, like, I think binge episode when I just thought like, wow, I don't, like, after, you know, the thing, I was like, I don't want to die like this. And I was like almost 18. And I was like, let me start searching. And that's where I started like yoga. I believe everything appears like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So it's like, I just was going like next to like yoga school, and just kind of attracted me in. And that's when I started yoga, and I felt more imbalance within my body, starting like, because with yoga, because you're working with the breathing and the poses, like you get in touch with your body. And I just noticed like I was just completely out of my body all the time. And I wasn't like, it didn't heal me, because you can't just heal all the stuff that I was going through with yoga. But that was the first encounter. Of course, after I went to the Netherlands, I still was struggling with different toxic environments and continued yoga. Long story short, forward, I kind of lost the touch with it, then got in the different kind of situations. I'm really the person who always go deep into something toxic and then just have to get myself out of it. But then meditation came, because when I went to fitness, I stopped the yoga, and I was really just hard into that fitness life. And my body burnt out, because it was already so many years of burning out my body from a very young age. So that was 3 years ago when I made this big decision to like stop everything that I was doing with fitness. And I was pretty successful. So that was a huge decision, because that also meant like everything that I thought I was, I'm giving up. So I was at the point like, who am I now? Like, what am I going to do? And that's where I just got like, I attracted a book called like You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza. And he talked about meditations a lot. So I started doing his meditations. But what happened was, it was a good, positive experience then. Maybe I needed then, but also, and that's where I'm going to be kind of contradictory. Controversial. That's what was the word. I have this thing, like I'm losing words sometimes about meditation, because the author that I mentioned, it's like only recently I figured out like it wasn't healthy to go as deep as I went. Maybe I needed it. I don't understand life. I don't know. Maybe sometimes you have to go to something so deep to lose yourself, to find yourself again. Or, you learn the lesson that the power was always within you. But what I did, I gave my power away to this lifestyle. Instead of treating meditation like I do now, it's just because I did guided meditations, like 1.5 hours in the morning, in the evening. And I started healing. Maybe my body, I got more peaceful and starting to like getting to know myself, but also I started isolating myself from people. I thought like, I only want to be in the spiritual world because this real human world is dangerous. That's how I experienced that. So I noticed that whole teaching of that person was kind of cult-like. We spoke about this on a recent podcast, and it surprised me. And then it did it actually, because I have this kind of character that I go deep into things because I want to do everything perfect and not to drag it for too long. I realized after doing so long the guided meditations that actually meditation is more as when I go dancing, where I put some nice music on and close my eyes and focus on my breathing. I treat it now as a tool, as same as I take my vitamin C every day to feel better. It's the meditation, and that helps you to stay also in this world, in the material human world, and stay in balance, because the spiritual world can be tricky if you go too deep into it. And now meditations, it's projected as something like the trend, and everybody's speaking about it, and it is great because it's an amazing tool to get to know yourself. But if you go too deep into it, and if you put all your hopes in the meditation to heal you and do the work for you, you're going to lose yourself, because then it's going to become like, if I don't meditate, I'm going to feel bad. Something bad's going to happen to me. It becomes toxic, so it is tricky. It's important to treat it as same as you treat your workout, your healthy diet, or I don't like the word diet, but just healthy lifestyle. And remember that sometimes meditation is not just sitting quiet, but it could be a great feeling when you do when you're in the flow state, when you do something you love and you just really present within conversation with someone. So my thoughts on meditation changed throughout the last even few months. that I treated more lightly, and I got much more freedom, and I stopped isolating myself from people and living in that spiritual world. Like I always felt like, yeah, we are spiritual beings living the human experience, but yeah, you know, it's not the human beings living their spiritual experience. Like if you try to be here on this world, on this earth, and already look for the thing out there and to be the spirit, you forget the experience, the human experience. And the balance is the hardest thing in life with everything. But yeah, I always talk a lot, I know.
It's interesting. Yeah,
It's like, what is he talking about? I'm just, you know, my if you see what was going on in my head, and I'm trying to put it in words. And then also I have 3 languages going on, like, because like Dutch, English, and Polish. So I'm trying to just translate it as I go. But yeah, meditation is a great healing tool. It's not a way of life that's going to save you, because it's more to that. It's more to that. You got to do more work than just meditation to, I don't know, to heal. I think we never truly heal. I think we go through life just discovering ourselves, and accepting that as well is so much more peaceful. Like I don't know it all, and that's okay.
Yeah. I think I've done a kind of similar journey, because I don't know, about 4 years, 5 years, I started doing guided meditation. And what helped me was, one was gratitude, because kind of what you appreciate, you attract. Because sometimes when stuff isn't going right for you, you can always think of the negative, look at the negative, start having, you know, just hatred towards the person if they've hurt you, robbed you, or whatever it is, whether it's relationship, whether it's a business, whatever. And the other one was the act of forgiveness. And I found that was the most powerful one, because if it's something small, you can do it. But if it was something big, just by repeating that all the time. And once you get over that, because what I found is, if someone's telling a story and they feel the pain, like you're able to tell that story now of your youth, what happened, without it being affecting you. But there was obviously a time prior to that when you said it brought you back into the moment, but you're not now living in yourselves. And it's the same for me. The stuff that I went through, it was a financial thing that I was kind of knocked out on. And I got over it. I kind of gave forgiveness, and then I didn't go through the guided. I was kind of getting a bit bored with it. I was like, you know, because the guy would say, you know, think you're having your coffee. It was like 22 minutes or something like that. So then I started doing my own guided one. And eventually it's like, no, I'm more just constantly present. I mean, if I wake up, I just kind of think and just chill. And what would I like to do today? But I don't beat myself up. You know, if you have your like to-do list, sometimes I do what I've done list instead of a to-do list. If I don't do a podcast, if I don't edit it, I don't beat myself up. If I'm out in the garden, I'm just watching nature. I'm just totally present. And I feel totally more in flow now than I was then. So it's a shift that I've done. I mean, I've tried breath work as well. And I've done a lot of breath work. And I think that helps as well, because I don't know, have any of you tried the breath work, but I found that that's just start breathing properly. But when you're doing the breath work, because I've got one that's, it's guided, but it's with music, or you can have it just with the music, and that's making it just totally present on that as well. You know, your head, I've got away from having the conversations in my head. I'm just totally focused. I've made a shift in life, and you know, I think it's just something that's important. And what you say, I think you've done kind of similar.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm so, like, I got chills when you're saying that, because that's exactly what we spoke about with Shrew. Like, this thing can become so toxic. And recently there's so much, you know, there's this hustle culture that tell you like, yeah, you got to wake up at 5 and take cold showers, and you got to do this, you got to do that. It makes you feel guilty about not doing it, and you're not productive at all. It's toxic. There's people who just, you know, preying on your weaknesses and just selling your courses and all kind of stuff. And there's the spirituality who is also can be toxic, when they like, yeah, you got to be grateful, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. But sometimes you don't feel grateful, and don't make me feel guilty that I don't, you know. It's, you got to find this within you. I think making that shift is discovering that the power is within us, that there's no guru. That's why our podcast is Be Your Own Guru, because we believe like everybody, there is no person. That was all my life, I was looking up for a mentor, for someone to lead me, probably because I didn't have parents to do that for me. So now it makes sense. But now I just like, no, it's what I want. And it's the power is within us, and everybody is just trying to make a business of selling that thing, the secret for you to the pill, and people want that. Within is a diet industry and the perfect workout, or spirituality, the perfect meditation, or the perfect course that will make you aligned, or the hustle culture, like the course that will make you make money and make you rich. It doesn't exist like the perfect thing. It's like you said, to-do list, like make it to-do list. And what if you don't? You're gonna die, like if you don't make every point on your to-do list. Like I love what you said, what have I done list. Yeah, like I've done this, I didn't do all of it, but that's okay. It's we love inspired action with Shrew. When we don't feel like recording podcasts, we're not gonna force it because it's gonna be fake. We're gonna try too hard, and we're gonna just, yeah, we gotta do something. We rather wait till the inspiration comes and we speak. Like we don't even prepare them at front. Like we just like, oh, and we're coming up with the topic. We're listening to our hearts and our souls, and I love that better because you're in the flow instead of just being in beliefs of someone else's who put them on you. Like do what I say because look, I'm successful, and they have some money to back it up, or some success they're showing you on Instagram, but who say they are happy? Because happiness, it's different. It's just something that you cannot buy, you know.
When you meet a lot of people, I mean, you would have, when you were kind of doing the different things in the limelight, there's a lot of people, you'll meet them, and on camera, behind the Instagram, they look the perfect, whether it's a couple, whether it's a business, whatever. I have met so many people, and I would not wish to be them. There's a hollowness there, and people have to realize that everything, even in the television, the actors and everything, it's all a fakeness. A lot of these people, a lot of evil going on, and they come across and you think they'd be your best friend. And once you actually, take off a few layers, you realize I was fooled. So just like you've mentioned, kind of deep within yourself, and you both discussed on today's episode, because I was listening to it as I was coming back from a meeting, that, that life isn't always up. I mean, we all have hiccups, and you have to accept that. Like, I mean, I don't get many down days, to be honest, but I get 1 or 2 a month. And I don't go, oh no, I just go, yeah, it is what it is. What makes, go away, have a nice coffee, just kind of, put on some decent music, try to, like sure, with the music, I mean, you made a shift with that. Like, I'd love to be talented with the music. My brother, who lives in Holland, is actually the talented musician, but I listen to music constantly because I think, I don't know, it does something to our soul.
Absolutely. Yeah. And something I've realized with, these gurus that kind of spread the message that you'll be okay as long as you meditate, as long as it's always conditional. And that's where, I think so many people are waking up on the planet right now, and they're honestly looking in the mirror, and what's being reflected to them is reality, their perception, right? And I think that when we have these gurus who are, like, for example, Joe Dispenza, I know amongst millions of people, he is adored, appreciated. Many people, like, if you just start studying psychology, many students will, refer to his books and tell you to read them. And I realize that no one has the answer. And when we put these people on a pedestal, not to just like celebrate them, but to actually preach that this is the answer, this is the method, this is how you heal, that's where you are really like spreading misinformation, and the power that people have within themselves, they start to, disconnect with. And yeah, I think with Kasia and I especially, as people, we've realized that not everything works for everyone, and to act like it does, or to just, be a part of the major popular opinion, it's not worth it, because, we come to this planet, we die one day, right? And it's like, well, have you like really ever stood up for your truth? Have you ever spoken it, or did you spend your life just listening to guided meditations and your ego telling you that you're grateful for this and that, but really like you're just becoming more and more empty inside. So yeah.
I totally agree with that. It's giving away your power to someone else and something else, and the more you do, it's just you kind of losing who you are. It's simple things. It's just like what I said in the beginning about identifying ourselves with what we do. It's so tricky because that's what I did with the fitness and the fitness persona that I created. It was just like I was always an actress. I started acting classes when I was young, but I wasn't ready for it, so that's why I didn't continue with it. And I started like 3 years ago when I dropped the fitness, and that was the first thing that the teacher told me when I went to acting school again. He said like, Kasia, you got talent, but you are scared to be ugly. And I was just like, what he's talking about, like scared to be ugly. But it was true, and it was very confronting, like I still had like the long lashes and everything. I was scared to show myself, and people, when I tell people I found myself in acting, they said like, how, pretending to be someone else? But that's not what acting is. Acting is, it's becoming the person, and to become the character you play, and you have to understand them, and to understand them and their emotion, you have to understand yourself, and you have to be private publicly. So you have to dare to show you're ugly. That's why actors, good actors, make us feel something within ourselves. We don't go to movies to watch actors, we go to watch ourselves. And when they're good at what they do, they're showing us something that we forgot, the pain, the happiness. Comedy shows you, like, why comedians are so free. They speak in stuff like stand-up comedians. They're telling things that people are scared to say, They speaking like what people think, and they saying it, and it's, because it's comedy, it's allowed, it's okay to say it. But that's really true. People just forgot that it's okay sometimes to just voice your opinion. Like a little thing, like when I was in fitness, I stopped pole dancing, which I started like years ago, and I used to teach pole dancing. And because it had such a stigma to it, like pole dancing, I was scared, like, oh, I'm this role model and I'm training models and I'm this serious trainer, like I'm not allowed to be pole dancing. And I stopped. And it was such a mistake because it was a part of me. It was what I loved. It made me also love my body back then when I was healing from eating disorders, because I think it's the most healing thing for women to move sensually. I used to teach that. And because it has such a stigma, like, oh, they trashy or whatever, women just don't dare to do it. But it's so beautiful to come to those classes and see women just come for themselves in heels and just dress sexy, not for some guy, but just for themselves, to be with other girls and dance and move and touch their body. It's I know I'm going from topic to topic, but it's just like what I mean is just embrace every part of yourselves. That's why now I have this new Instagram. I deactivated the other one, and it's just like I put everything on there. I don't build a brand, I don't build nothing. It's just my thing to express myself, whether it's just like a spiritual quote or like something about my book, which is spiritual, and then I put like pole dance video and heels and then some crazy TikTok. It's just like, because this is all me. I don't identify like this is who I am. I do this and I do that. I enjoy a little bit of that, and that's what I'm also doing for myself, not to claim too hard to one thing. And yeah,
I've seen your. I mean, that's why I think I connected with you first. I saw the TikTok and I was like, you do it. Like, I mean, now that you're saying you've done the acting, but it's so good. I mean, we'll have to put your TikTok handle on the show notes, because you, with different wigs and everything and just the lip syncing, it is brilliant. You would actually think that you were really saying the words. Not, there's very few can do that, but I don't know, Shrew, have you seen her
good,
TikTok?
right?
Unbelievable. It is really
incredible
and funny, like it is extremely funny. You do very funny ones, so things like that. Even if you're having a bad day, something's happening, you put on that, you see you doing something fun, and it just, your day just changes. So you can change somebody's emotion by just making them smile.
And that's what I love. I just like, I stopped trying to be some savior for the world, but just like, I believe now doing what you love will automatically make other people happy. Don't try to go out there, preach and do lectures and stuff like this. There's nobody will be God, and everybody trying to be God with those, like I said, with those gurus and stuff like this. And I always had this need to kind of help people, but now I feel like helping myself and being myself help people more. That's why I love comedy. I love stuff. That's why I choose those funny TikToks, because like as Kasia Rain, I didn't feel like I was allowed to do this kind of, goofy stuff or something. So I'm just like, this is just me doing whatever I want, and it's just fun. When I enjoy it, I know other people will enjoy it, and that's now I'm just preparing myself. I want to try to stand up, by just
just do it, because I
know, but
I can connect. I've done it myself. I've done an open mic, and I just
wow.
It was good. I mean, I was nervous, but I enjoyed it. And now with the Toastmaster, I mean, I've kind of dropped out of the Toastmaster now, but I've done it for a few years. Most of the speeches I done had comedy in them, and I found even if you have to get a kind of important message across, people will remember it. So I will connect you with a guy that's, I think it's either in Krakow or Wrocław, but he does open mics around Poland. He does them in Warsaw and different places. And then there's no excuse. You can't say, I want to do it. Let's do it. And I'll make sure I go up there. I'll put on a live stream so SRU can see it as well.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, SRU is like my biggest fan and encourager of that. It's just like, and I love her. And I just love her music. Like you said, like I wish I could sing. And I think music is the biggest gift from God. And I don't believe in God as a person who sits in heaven and punishes us for things. I think God is just a higher power where we all come from, and it's just like there's more God in a forest than in church. That's my.
No, I like your episode on that, because at a very early age I left going to church because I just saw that. I mean, the abuse that goes on, and just the evil, they're not nice people. Not all, obviously there's a lot of genuine, really nice priests and whatever, but with nuns and priests, I saw a lot of evilness. You can even feel it from them. And, you're kind of conditioned into, like, we were made pray every morning in the school. And there was one guy, I don't know what religion he was, but he was kicked out of the class. I mean, to do things like that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
be a good person.
Yeah. Like my thoughts now, because like nobody knows really. But my thoughts is we are living on heaven and hell, and it's you decide what to get it. That's how I feel it is, because I look at nature, I look at the trees, I read books about the trees and how they communicate, and like look at old stuff that happened before. There was like massive trees with silicon or something that used to be an energy source, and they were all cut down by the bad boys. I look at that and I go, it's basically, we're like Star Wars on Earth at the moment, between the dark side and the white. And it's a case of don't let the fear scare you, because some people, they go down the rabbit hole and they become terrified and they just kind of share the negativity. Whereas I try to do it in a kind of humorous way. When I'm doing a show, one of my shows, The Awakening, is exposing the corruption. But what we do is we just laugh and joke about it. And we're getting great feedback from people like it. If you look at the people kind of sharing the most information, the comedian JP Sears, I mean, he's got millions of followers, but he's doing it in such a fun way that when you watch it, you understand what's going on, but you come away from it kind of uplifted, instead of a lot of the information that people are, like say, Alex Jones or something like that. I mean, all they're doing is they're never giving solutions. They're just kind of ramming down negativity. Talking
about what's wrong.
Yeah, and what good is that to us? Like, yeah, it's wrong. Okay, what's the solution? We
all know what's wrong. Yeah, I think if there is a God, he would be a comedian. He's just like someone with humor.
How do you know God is a man? Maybe it's a woman.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's an energy. It's not even a person. It's us. It's in us. It's in the trees and everything. And of course, there's a point of view, but like you said, that I don't feel it with church and stuff like this. It's also, it's conditional. Like you will be praised if you are good, but what's good? According to my rules, you have to be good. You have to be this good person. We have this episode on good person syndrome. We all carry in us from childhood. Like, you know, you're going to be punished if you don't do this and if you do that. I don't like it. I just feel like we all should feel free. We all know what the universal wrong is. Like we know what the wrong things to do is, and we should just, you know, live according to with ourselves and not do just, you know, not do someone else harm, and then we'll be okay. But there's no punishment for stuff, and it's no one sitting there.
Like all the, I mean, my belief is all the religions were made up, and now if you look, they're actually creating a one world religion, and it's going to start in Dubai. It's going to be rolled out around the world, and it's basically Muslim, Catholic, and I think Jewish, or rather maybe it's even more, but no crosses to be shown and everything. And it's like, and they're all on board for this. It's just kind of showing, we tell you what to believe. And because they rewrite the history books, nobody knows what happened previously, and they just believe the stories that have been told. Mm-hmm. And you have to stop believing the history books, because loads of things, when you kind of find an older book, you kind of start going, "Oh, this is a bit strange." I mean, I've even gone down, and this is a kind of, you're talking about going off topic. This is even more off topic, and I've been talking to somebody against my. A guy reached out to me on my podcast, a flat earther, and he said, "I'd like to come on your show." And if it was 3 years ago or something, I would have said no way. But I was just like, there's so much weird stuff going on. I'm open to it. I want to see how his thought process is. And I wasn't going to do any research. I was basically just going to go, yeah, let's have fun here. And just not to, I would never make fun of somebody in a bad way, but just to enjoy his conversation, see where his head is coming from. And I started looking at a few videos, had him on, listen to the stuff. You know, he has loads of graphics and everything. And since then, I've watched 30, maybe 50 hours of different videos. And I'm now convinced that we've been fed a lie about the earth. And there was a few friends were mocking me, going, "What are you having him?" And then they were making fun of me. But I'm kind of like, I've just put my hands up. That's, you know, even when I was talking to them, I told them how I felt. And I've had astrologers, you know, one of the girls saying, she's come back and she go, "Yeah, you're right." And I'm not telling people go away and start thinking it's flat, but there's a fake flat earth society, and then there's a genuine one, and they're showing it. And there was maps done, there was maps from Japan and everything. It's just like, just look at everything and do your own research. Don't be kind of conditioned. Whether that's right or wrong, nobody has circumnavigated north to south either, because the way to describe how this flat earth is, it's like looking at a plate, and the South Pole is ice all around. So we're like in a lake, and in the North Pole. And if you look at some of the videos, it looks like we're not allowed to go to a lot of these places. The military is based all around it. And I'm wondering what's there that they're not allowing us to see these things, because we're ruled by the evil ones.
Yeah.
You know, with something I've realized is there's so much beauty in keeping an open mind, and, you know, being open to everything, but not attached to anything, or attached to attaching your identity to a belief of knowing that this is how it is. And interestingly enough, you know, I had my phases of like atheism and then nihilism, and just so many, Hinduism even at one point in my life. Something I've realized is that, you know, the whole concept of reincarnation, for example, you know, we kind of live our lives now like knowing that, you know, in the spiritual community, reincarnation is quite believed in. And if you say, okay, past lives have happened, then I've died before. And if I've died before, and there's this narrative of like heaven and hell, maybe I'm already in hell. Maybe I'm already in a place where I'm now like working out like my own karma. I'm working out my own, essentially like, I now see heaven and hell, right, as a spectrum of consciousness. And I think that's all it is. It's just a projection. And looking at it that way has actually taken so much pressure off of me, I feel, you know, to perform as a human, to have it all figured out, to constantly feed this like seeking that I have for knowledge, or to understand why certain things are the way they are. You know, just even the fact that if I tell myself, okay, like hypothetically even, this is hell, like I'm in hell, it's like, okay, like how it can't go any worse than that, right? Like there's no other place like hell 2.0. If I'm like screwed, then I'll happily just, you know, do my best, then get burnt alive. And, you know, it takes out the fear of it. And yeah, just wanted to share that.
I totally agree. I think fear is the biggest poison in life. It's just, I also like, nobody knows, there's no like truth that can be claimed like this is the truth. Like everybody lives their own truth and try to project on other people. I choose to believe in a reincarnation, and it makes sense to me. I might be wrong, but it takes, for me, that takes pressure away of, you know, I believe, like, I'm grateful for this life and this lifetime. Like I said, in this lifetime, I would like to achieve as much as I can, or find like my potential and my limits, and just, you know, be the best version of myself. Such a cliche thing, but yeah, that's what I'm aiming for. But the thought of reincarnation kind of take the pressure away, that this is all I have and I have no time. I just feel like, oh, if not in this lifetime, I'm going to just, you know, still have another one, or something like that. So I hate working under pressure, and that's what's happening in life right now. It's just like you have no time. Okay, we don't have much time. Time goes fast. That's true. But it's, if you live with that fear and pressure, I don't think you're gonna make it, like, you're gonna become close to yourself. You're gonna just go through life like really rushing, and when you rush, you do half-ass job. It's always like that, you know what I mean? So I rather just take my time and feel like inspired to things and listen to myself. And that's what meditation is great for, to take a break and breathe and you know, and just unwind. But still, I wouldn't preach meditation as a cure for stuff what is done, so, like, you know, by many this time. I think it's a mix of everything. A lot of problems I needed in life, you know, issues. We need to meet wrong people to learn about ourselves. I think life is beautiful. I think, like, you know, what I hate about, like, moments when you feel sad and down, you feel like, oh my God, and only like after you learn the lesson, and you're just like, oh, it could have been just like easier and faster. But sometimes I actually miss moments when I was really sad and like those down moments, because it's like the most teachable. So I don't put labels now on what's wrong and what's right. It's just like, I'm still a human being. Sometimes I'm fighting it. It's not like I have it all figured out. No, not at all, far from. But at least I'm trying to accept. And I think acceptance of the wrong or the good, it make it easier. It make it more peaceful and accepting of me and whatever shortcomings I might have or difficulties. I don't know, it makes me feel like there is, Shrew said it so beautiful, like there is no monster out to get us. And it really touched me when she said this, because we all live from the childhood on already, like there's some monster out to get us. And we were speaking about, like, Eminem and Rihanna had this song, like, you know, I'm friends with the monster, and we started listening to lyrics of Eminem, and for me, he's such a genius. Oh, I'm so inspired by him. Like, if you listen to the lyrics, like, become friend with the monster, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's your friend, it's your fears. Listen to your fears, what you're scared of, and then they will maybe like go quiet and be like, okay, you know, we are here. Fear is here to protect us. So we have to just let the fear know, like, okay, it's okay. Nobody's out to get us. I know you're trying to protect me, but it's okay. Let's go. Let's do it, and take the risks or whatever. Other way, we won't do things. I see this from my own experience. Like, I was always waiting to be ready to do something, and just like, I will never be ready. I just have to, you know, go with this knot in my stomach, like just with the fear, like you said, for the stand-up, you just have to go. Also with the risk, like, you might suck, you might get so nervous, you get brain freeze, you say something stupid, and you're gonna be laughed at, and what? But did you die? No, you know, you just, like, I think the achievement of doing it makes it well. Just I will like that, but then not forcing. Also, it's a balance, but because forcing too soon before you actually ready, it's contradicting, because you will never be ready, but I believe ready in the moment for something. You get what I mean? Like, it's just like when you have a big goal in life and you try to achieve it right away instead of taking the baby steps towards it, that will give you more confidence to eventually do the real thing you want to do. It's more, it doesn't discourage you as much as when you aim right away and throw yourself in a river for something huge. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm just listen. I just heard myself back, and I was just like, "What is she talking about?" But it's like I see something in my head, and like I already see myself going somewhere. Like, but that's what it is. Like being ready, but like not being ready and doing it, but also in a way, kind of being ready. So like, there you go, guys. Like, figure out. Like, you're welcome. That's my advice. Like you never will be ready, but you have to be ready. Ready to your own ability at the moment, I guess.
That's the paradox of life, isn't it? Just, like, when is the perfect moment?
Yeah, never. But either way, it is also
right.
Right, because like even us meeting each other, like back then, we wasn't ready to do something together, but we were meant for each other, like, it sounds so romantic. Meant for each other, but then we 3 years after, and then we are ready. So
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Life is a one huge paradox. It keeps amaze me. Yeah.
So I know I'm kind of taking a tangent to what we're saying now, because I know that one of you wrote on the thing, and maybe both of you, about the dark side of meditation, and we're going to bring it back up again. But I just want to, I think it was SRU, you might have mentioned that. You might just tell a bit about that.
So to me, the dark side of meditation is the side that isn't really talked about. It's not really discussed. If you look at, even YouTube, the topic of meditation, you have like monks telling you about how to breathe, about how to, exactly what meditation is, and they're defining it. And for me, the dark side of meditation comes in when I can't actually relate to the bliss or the high that many people are promised. They say, just meditate, just 5 minutes a day, your life will be cured. But when we put so much power in a practice like meditating, or in listening to other people tell you how to meditate, I feel like I visually just see it as the energy within you that's life potential kind of just crawls out, kind of leaks out, and you're left running flat. And especially in this kind of day and age, I see meditation being a band-aid for many like real problems. Many people are afraid to really face their real demons, and so they'll maybe go through a hippie phase, or they'll buy some crystals, or it's the balance between being a human and also the balance between being a spiritual being, having a human experience, which is, what we're all believing, but it's also reminding the human self that it's okay to not be able to meditate or focus. It's all right if you don't feel enlightened, if you haven't reached nirvana, or if it's only lasted 3 seconds, if you've only had 3 seconds of bliss. It can almost be like chasing a high that essentially we can only give ourselves by realizing that this is it. This moment is all there is. And this journey that we're working towards, it's kind of one that's in our heads, one that the mind kind of constructs. So it has like a idea of where it's going, based on the past, it will kind of predict the future and tell you, map out for you, like what's going to happen. And I think that the filter that we look through, the lens we look through, is really distorted in that way, where there's so much more potential, there's so much more beauty, there's so much more expansion in truly bringing that attention back to yourself and back to the very things you're running from, the very like demons in your closet that you need to clean out. And with meditation, to really sum up the dark side, I think it's when it's used as a form of escapism, really, just like any other drug, substance, behavior. Yeah.
Mhm.
You mentioned reincarnation, and I think for somebody that's in your early 20s, you were definitely here before, because you speak such wisdom for a young.
Right? I always say it, like I'm just like because there is a big age difference between me and Shu, and I sometimes can't believe that she's 22. Like I wish I had that mind at 22, So I always tell her, like, wow, girl, like you just like you channeling some spirits, like really just. She has so much wisdom. Yeah, that's amazing. And
the only spirits I was channeling at that age was Jack Daniels. So
I know something about it. Oh, maybe 22 I was already done, but like when I started channeling my evil stuff like very early, like since 12 I was already like on the streets. But at least I was quickly done, like when I was 18 it was already like everything behind me. But it was also a journey. But yeah, I agree with that, with the dark side of the meditation. And to add to that, I feel it can make you feel bad about yourself. And what I mean is, in a way, like when you have those perfect gurus, telling like, yeah, in the meditation you reach this ecstasy and the state of alignment and there's no thoughts, and then someone just goes and try it and they sit there with a head full of thoughts and they can't quiet, then they feel like, oh, I must suck, I'm a horrible, like I'm just like I'm not as perfect in those people, so I'm broken. People feel like I'm broken, it doesn't work for me, and they started feeling bad about themselves, like there's something wrong with them. And it's not, sometimes it's just like observing even your thoughts. There is no such a thing like no thoughts. Like there's always gonna be thoughts, in your head, and there's no such a thing like perfect meditation. And those people out there claiming like you can reach those states and stuff like this. Okay, cool, but what? That state is also for a little bit, and then what? It's just like, what did you? It's like that this is some huge achievement that they did. Like, okay, like you reached alignment, and so what? We're still human beings here living, and we have our bills and our stuff. You know what I mean? It's just that's the thing. What I said, like you can lose yourself in that spiritual world and the meditation, that you're gonna use it as Shru say, as something to get away from the real life. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna close my eyes and put this guided meditation and everything's gonna be okay. And then you just wake up from it like, oh, did I manifest already everything? Did my money come? Did my car come? It's just it doesn't work. That's why I hate the movie Secret or the book Secret, because I think it's so misleading. I believe in law of attraction and like that we manifest things with our thoughts and stuff like that, but it's not some magical thing, when they show us like, yeah, just think about Ferrari, and within 2 weeks, like they show like Ferrari appearing in your living room. Like it's just like, and then you have people thinking that it's really like that, and it stops them from taking any action in life. It's just like, oh, I just have to think things. Like, yeah, okay, you have to have goals and things you want, but then sometimes something has to be done. How universe work, I believe, is just put you on a path towards maybe like right people or right places, but you still have to do something. And that's the thing. The meditation, I think some people used to escape, and that's what I see with those those movements and those seminars and those retreats. Like people go, and of course they're gonna feel great because they're there for a week and with other people and chanting and singing, but then you're going back to the real life, and the dopamine and adrenaline, everything is gone, and you're gonna feel depressed, and then you're gonna try like, and then you're gonna feel like without the meditation you can't feel happy, and you're going to be like, oh my God, tomorrow I got to wake up early, and if I don't do my meditation, my day is going to be like, ruined and whatever. I think it becomes a prison then, like the spiritual prison. Same like with diets, you can be in a food prison when it's conditional, I'm only going to feel good if I eat certain way. I don't believe in those things anymore. Still, meditation is a tool, and it can be done differently. Look for what you love. You also sometimes don't know you're meditating when you, like I said, in a flow state. Dancers, like singers, when they're performing, that's true alignment. When you really just performing and you make other people feel something. Within acting, when you hit, like when you reach, like when you manage to feel it and forget that you like who you are, and you just become the character in the moment, really in that thing. It's just, that's what you feel. That's when you get out of the scene, you just like, oh, it just happened. And I believe that that's more aligning than sitting there and forcing something because someone told you like this is going to heal you. And that's the dark side of the meditation, understanding it wrong and treating it as a cure for something. Like it's a tool.
I just want to like add to that. I noticed that, you know, there's also separation that comes with the dark side of meditation. There's a lot of that spiritual ego, and, you know, you see people that will only associate with people who meditate, or only connect, or only feel like they can connect with others who have the same practices and beliefs, which goes against the whole like message of spirituality, of oneness, you know? And when it's used as something to kind of stroke the ego, say like, oh, I meditate 45 minutes, and then someone's like, no, I meditate like 1 hour, or I go to all these retreats and I have all these books, and it can be like another face of the spiritual ego, really. Yeah.
Right? Like those people who just like, you know, start feeling better above everybody else, and they don't want to surround themselves with the normal human beings, and they just like, they feel like they discovered some secret to life. It's still ego. Like, you're not spiritual, because being truly spiritual is accepting everybody and know that we are all connected, and just not judging someone because they not live the same as you and they don't do meditation, or the competing thing, like, oh, I do 40 minutes, oh, I do 1 hour, I do 1.5 hours, you know. It's just like, so what? Like it's just it becomes, I love the word spiritual ego. Yeah. And I've been there as well myself. Like I had a time when I was like really deep into that Joe Dispenza stuff. I just felt like so disconnected from the real world. Like I just didn't feel good around humans, because I felt like, oh, and I just like got shut down into like, oh, I do another meditation, you know. And it's just like in that hour you're sitting, you feel some vibrations and stuff like this. But it's running away. It's almost the same like taking drugs or something to fill a void, you know. I think facing stuff, it may be harder and more difficult, like, you know, facing your demons or whatever you have to deal with, than just running away into things. Meditation's not gonna it's not gonna do the work that, for example, therapy could do for you for some traumas or whatever. It can only help you as a tool to maybe get more peaceful and quiet, but it's not a cure, and it's now promoted as a thing to be, and I kind of don't agree with it.
I think it's a case of stop beating yourself up. It definitely helps you in that kind of sense. And, you know, right? Like there's a lot of gurus out there, and I don't want to name the guy because he's kind of in a circle that I know, but one of the top people out there, you know, was a monk, and then started doing all these quotes. Somebody caught him saying they weren't his quotes, and he got caught out in it. And he's coming across as if he's a really fantastic, nice guy.
I think I know who you're talking about.
And you see the videos going out, and it's like clickbait. And then he's trying to sell stuff. He's like telling people. So he's touching on the triggers, you know, so it's easy to hit an emotion. So he knows where people are struggling with, throws that out, and then he's selling something. And yeah, I mean, I understand somebody trying to make a living, but there's ways of doing things. And like, I think you find it deep within yourself. Like there's one guy who is a monk, and I actually just liked his speech. He's been a few times at an event I was going to, and he was just saying, like, when you're washing your hands, just be present with it, feel the water. Because I definitely step back, because I used to be like that. I used to be, you know, get a million things done and then beat myself up because I didn't get 1,000,001 things done. But, you know, he's just saying, when you're brushing your teeth, feel the bristles. You're just totally present. And I think just start listening to yourself, because a lot of the time we're beating ourselves up, you know, we're thinking, oh, I'm not feeling this way, or you're listening to all these different people. And as you said, someone is saying, I'm meditating for an hour. I know plenty of people, they meditate a lot. I know they're not present. It's just there's a fakeness, and the ego is with so many people. Like recently, this is one that made me think, because I try not to judge anybody, because I say we never know the person's journey. I grew up in a very rough neighborhood, and like, you don't know if somebody has been abused. You don't know if they have alcoholic parents. You don't know nothing. So even if they are a thief or whatever, we shouldn't hate them. It's like, you don't know their journey. And unfortunately, the system is set up in such a way that it's orchestrated. Like, it could easily be fixed, but it's not. That they want this kind of, you know, negativity in the world. That's all. It's all orchestrated. Not people think, oh no, everything is orchestrated, and you know, we should just kind of not beat ourselves up for these things, you know. And like, the three of us have something different that has happened in our life, but we're not a tree. We can move, you know, and that's the trick. You just kind of, all right, this happened to me, and just kind of make a shift in life, you know, and just listen. Like, if you are doing the guided meditation, if it's not working, okay, you know, even if it's just listening to music, you know, like I love classical music at times. I put on violin music, and that just puts me in a great, you know, I could be, even when I'm editing a podcast, I can have that playing in the background, and that just puts me in a relaxed state, and just to be listening to yourself, not to be trying to listening to somebody else, not to aspire to be like Elon Musk or to be one of these Richard Branson. You know, you just assume that's who I want to be, and it's not, you know. Just listen to yourself.
Why would you be somebody who already out there? Like, you know, you're taking away from who you are meant to be. Like, it really, and what you say about like those monks, those commercial monks, I call them, like, you know, it all becomes like a marketing and business, and it's just like they playing on people's weaknesses, and they just like selling the happiness, and it's you know, I don't think it's fair. Maybe it's helping someone, but it's misleading. It's really misleading. I love people who are more like, you know, we love which like Alan Watts or Wayne Dyer, like they both dead already, but it's when they speak, there's no much selling stuff or whatever. It's much more peaceful and just wisdom, and they really enjoy sharing stuff, and they're not claiming like this is the way to go, but you know, that I love, that's real, that I connect with. But I don't like those, yeah, you know, especially the gurus, like, you can do it, like you have it. And sometimes on the day when you don't feel like you have it, you start feeling bad about yourself, you know. And so saying like with meditation, and you start beating yourself up, and they say like, no, just that's all you got more. And just like, you know, what I hate the most is just like, yeah, you got to sacrifice your sleep. Like, I'm gonna, like, if I don't sleep enough, I'm gonna be cranky. I'm not gonna be just doing anything. I'm sorry. I need some sleep, you know. It's just like, you know, like wake up at 5, take a cold shower. Like, why would I live like in the military if I'm not in the military? Why would I do it to myself? Like, just like, you know, like, why? Like this is almost that, because of course I've been in juvenile prison, like that's the system. Because there you live, like you wake up at this hour, you do this, everything is just scheduled. Every day is the same, there's routine. And it's just, they doing it like to take your life energy away for people not to do crimes or whatever. But it's just such a wrong system. And it's also known that juvenile prison don't work, because 80% of kids just keeps going back into crimes and whatever. Because if I ever will be, you know, blessed enough to have some influence on that, I would love to just do something to change at least a little bit like the juvenile prison system, because, you know, you're dealing with kids, and it's just not okay to just, you know, it's damaging. I was a very strong person that I kind of managed to get out of the routine when I got released, but I understand now why kids keep going back to the streets, or after they end up in a, you know, adult prisons and stuff like that, because that's all they know. And in that place, they don't teach you self-love, self-acceptance. Only it's just like, you do what I said, if not, you will be punished. That's all you got there. And you can never be yourself, because I wasn't even a bad person. I was just a lost girl, and I wasn't even like, I didn't do any crimes before, so they put me there only because there was no one to pick me up from the juvenile arrest. So they just like, they knew like nobody would just punish them for them, so they just like, yeah, put there in the juvenile prison. So it was really done like really wrong. But then you come there, and of course to survive there with other girls who like there's such a mix of people who done really, really bad things, and some girls who just come there like, you know, with some petty crimes or whatever. But then you have to play like you're tougher than you are. You have to be this cool guy, and you have to be like, you know, they ask you right away when you come to the group, like, what you in for? And you just like making the crimes bigger than they are, like, yeah, you know, because you want to be accepted. Because if you're not, you're gonna have a hard life. So I was really lucky because I was always good with that. But then you also have to have a good behavior for court and for your trial, you know, to be released. So you have to be good with people out there, with the guards and stuff like this. So that's all you have there, being good and a bad. There's no in between. Like, you know, you have to be tough and you have to be also good. You have to always walk in line. Every day you wake up with the feeling like what's gonna happen, like in the survival. And it's kind of what the world look to me like right now, a little bit like this, you know, just like people acting cool on social media because they want to be accepted, but they also want to be good person. So they go and try to like do like follow a religion or something that the world say it's you good person if you do this. It's all conditional, and people just forgetting themselves within it all. Like, you know, and it's all rules and routines. It's good to have a routine and something. You can be just like, you know, waving around, but don't get just stuck, because you missing so much more spontaneity in life if you stuck to the routine. You don't know what would have come into your day if you just stuck to something you have planned so viciously. Like, yeah, I have this plan of my day, and I used to live like this. I'm talking out of experience. Like, yeah, weighing my meals, and I'm going to sleep, and I'm going to wake up, and I'm going to do the workout. Like, there's nothing new coming into your life, and there's this, your world becomes so small. Like open yourself up a little bit to the unknown. But people want to control everything. Why? You know, it's just like it's risky, yeah, but it's also beautiful what comes from. I love those days when I like on the day before I have something planned, and then the day I wake up, I don't feel like doing it, and something so completely different turns out to something more beautiful. And I know it's universe, you know. It's just like I trust it now. Like, I trust the gut feeling and also my body when you really truly don't feel like doing something. Maybe it's not the day to do it, you know.
And I think it's a case of stop beating ourselves up, because we all do it. We all, you know, and once you can kind of escape from that, you know, life becomes better. And just on the juvenile, because it's something that I've been looking at, like, say, the prison system as well, because like there was parts in America where they were actually given education, and it was like only 5% returned to the prison. You know, and there's another prison where they were actually giving them animals, because they were helping the sheltered animals, so that each person was able to, you know, take care of an animal. You know, so that was like showing compassion and love. And instead of, yeah, as you say, you have to go in there, you have to put on a different face, you have to put on a mask that you're tough, or you will be bullied, you will be, you know, they will take advantage of you. And like that's an organized system. Like, that can be changed as well. So, you know, if you're making that kind of like your mission and thinking of ways of doing it, I think it's important, because I've seen people, and I know people that have been to prison and everything, and like if you really take off the layers, it wasn't their fault. Like, you know, people then think, oh, he's robbed the car, he's done this, he's done it. A lot of the time they had not, you know, that they were just surviving. That was their way of survival.
And also environment, especially kids, like young teenagers. Why they do crimes? They want to be seen. These are kids who are just like abandoned and whatever, and they just, you know, do extreme stuff to be seen. And what, like in my case, like I was looking for myself and for place to belong, and then I find those friends who were just so cool, and they had like identity of those rebels, and they were all older than me, and I felt like, oh, I want to belong here. I also want to be like that, you know. And you just feel like you have to live up to them almost and prove yourself. And I was never okay with this stuff, but I just felt like at least I have someone there, like, to look up and someone to lead me. I don't know, it's just like, and from one thing goes to the other, and it becomes your environment, and that's what makes you, or environment makes us. And same like being in juvenile prison, it's sometimes you have people who wasn't that bad become even worse in prison because of the surroundings. So it's you know, it's just like it's something wrong within the system, and that's why it's not working. There should be more compassion and that kind of lessons to, especially I'm always talking about the teenagers and the juvenile system, because if you see like this is even like this incarcerated series on Netflix about girls in juvenile prison, and I watched that, and I just like see so much pain in them that nobody sees, you know. And it's just like they always think like, oh, they're just like bad teenagers. They're not bad teenagers. They're sad and they lost and they're angry. There's not even a way to release their anger because they're going to be punished, and we have to release our anger, you know. If you stuck it and somebody tell you to, you're not allowed to express that, then the anger is going to go to somewhere else, you know, like to different like part in your body, and you're gonna manifest in different things. So, you know, you can't save everybody, and everybody have to go through their journey, but understanding people a little bit and looking into what's, like you said, not judging people of what they behavior, but try to understand them, like why they're doing things. And sometimes we don't know what people been through, and it's so easy to judge, you know. And yeah.
And like, just finally, because I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. So like, Shrew, what's your, I mean, between the two of you actually with the podcast and everything, where are you going? What's your actual plan? Because I thoroughly enjoy it, and because it's kind of similar to this kind of conversation. Basically, you're just kind of, you know, shooting the breeze, but very deep and, you know, thought provoking. So like, you just kind of feel what will be the next topic, and then you just go with that? And have you other plans for, like, do you put out the video as well, or is it just the audio?
So at the moment, it's just the audio, and actually we started like recording the first episode, which you guys haven't heard, but I think we recorded at least like 20 to like 30 different sessions of like episodes to get to like the first episode. We started in June. We started with the video, and we realized that actually one of our insecurities, you know, was our own like self, our own body. And we realized that for so long, the work we were doing for Kasia, you know, it was the fitness and, you know, influencing and training in that industry. And for me at that point, like the last 3 years I'd spent in music and having my identity shaped by, again, like outside people who didn't have my best interests in heart. So we realized that we always had this desperate need to be heard, and we just wanted to be seen for not what skin suit we walk around in, but actually for the content of like what's in our heart, what's on our mind, like what do we actually have in common, what do we actually connect with if we take away all the layers of skin, you know. And it was actually very healing, I think, for us to turn the video off and speak, because then we weren't thinking about what do I look like, but we were actually realizing that no, we have something to say. And so far, it's every episode has just been like a conversation, and the layers just keep getting deeper and deeper. And we pretty much, before we record, we kind of just have a random thought or just think about something that's been personally affecting us, something we've been going through. And in that conversation, we somehow come out the other side with some type of a conclusion or something just to almost calm us down. And I think that's why the podcast is quite relatable. They are very honest, open conversations, and, you know, for the future, we're just here in the present, you know.
Yeah. I couldn't say it better. Like it's Shrew always who comes up with this. She always like texts me like, yeah, should we talk about this? And you know, and I was just like thinking about like, yeah, that's what I feel about it. And or sometimes we just go into a call and we start talking and just like, oh, I don't really feel like recording today, and just like we talk, and then we start talking about some subject, and then we hit record because it's just like, wow, that's the thing. And then it's always different, and that's why every episode is different, and we see our own growth with it, within it, meaning like we're gaining confidence by the more you dare to show yourself, and speak about like whatever it's on your mind and in your heart. And it's just like you dare to say more and voice your opinion and just say about those things. And I think it's a good thing for us, and and we hope that it's gonna be affecting people also in a way, maybe not affect, but just like inspiring whoever needs to hear it, and just make other people feel like they're not alone. Like I realize that after even something like TikTok and seeing like how many people opening up themselves about their mental health issues and stuff like this, I see like, wow, I thought I was alone with all this stuff, but everybody is dealing with something, and the ones who dare to speak up about it heal the world, because it makes us see that we are all connected. And when you're not alone with something, the thing that's bothering you becomes less powerful over you, because only when you feel like only I deal with this and so there's something wrong with me, you're gonna feel like really just disconnected from people. But in a way, we all have those things. We all have our fears and insecurities. I don't know one person who wouldn't have insecurities, and the more they act that they don't, the more they have them. It's really like that. Yeah. So when you have those confident people who really just so in tune with themselves and they have no insecurities, they probably have a lot. And they like voicing them makes them less powerful, I think. Like you just realize that they're not as big as they were in your head. So, but we always gonna have them. I don't believe that one day I'm gonna be maybe when we die and we become that soul or whatever, we're gonna see what's there. Maybe we're gonna laugh about like all the insecurities we had. But until we live, there's always gonna be something that we feel kind of a little bit, insecure about. It's just accepting that and still living and choosing to go through life. That's the courage.
Absolutely. Listen, ladies,
Hell yeah.
It's been beautiful speaking to you. So you might let people know how they can get in contact with you.
I think for now it's the Be Your Own Guru Instagram. We have a podcast on Spotify. Sure, tell people more. She's like,
at the moment on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, it's the Be Your Own Guru podcast. Our Instagram is the Be Your Own Guru podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, I think. If you, I think that's it at the moment.
Yeah,
but
of course our own Instagrams, like mine is just Kasia's and Srujita.
Mine is Srujita. Yeah.
So,
and I have some music on Spotify. Go stream it, y'all.
Yeah, check it out because it's amazing.
So send me the links and I'll put it on the podcast description, as well as the TikTok and all of your links, so I know so that people can get in contact with you.
Sure. Yeah, it was really fun talking to you. I really like your energy. Love it. And I hope you can come once to be a guest on our podcast. I would love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, would love to.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So
yeah, thanks.
That's all for the meditation podcast. You can find all our episodes on meditationpodcast.org, and be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating and review. It all helps. Until next week, take care.